Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's Mike and Blaine. It is episode 212. 212. I'm Mike Blaine, also known as Cash Flow Mike. That is my friend, my partner, my confidant, Blaine Birch from Dry Run. What's up, man?
Today, we got a really interesting topic: client expectations, stretch or sandbag. It's one of the oldest rules in business: under promise, over deliver. But what happens when a client asks you to flip that on its head? So we're going to dive into some interesting areas there. And actually, I've had some conversations in the last few months about this. So it's actually going to be a really great topic. Before we dive into it, though, what are you drinking today?
Oh, I'll tell you what. I had Neighbour Pat, one of our beer sponsors. And by the way, if you don't know about our beer sponsors, you too can be a beer sponsor. It isn't just Neighbour Pat and all my friends. It could be you for the low cost of buying us a beer. $5 an episode. It is evergreen material, lives forever. It's only $5. It's the best advertising on podcast right now. But check this out. Remember how I make fun of all his labeling and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
So Pat came in with a Webert's Pub. He brought me a frosty glass. I just took this out of the freezer not too long ago. So it's chilly. It's cool chili where everyone is a bit Irish. And then instead of a bottle this time, he brought the growler, right? And that even's got the Webert type stuff. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's Burt Brewing.
The label. Oh, I can just sort of see it. But it's it's hard to see on the screen there. But nice.
There it is. So I've got a whole growler of beer to get through, and he says, I think he said it's a porter or stout. I can't remember. I don't know. He was talking so fast.
Nice.
Oh yeah, definitely something good.
We have some beer sponsors to thank, but before we do that, I'm going to tell you about the beer I'm drinking today. So I went back to one of my favorite breweries in Edmonton, Irrational Brewing Company, and it's the Turbidity Double Dry Hopped Oat Cream IPA. And it is delicious. I really like this beer. I had this at the brewery just last week and had to grab some. So it's, if you're in Edmonton, 124th Street Irrational, they got terrific beer. Make sure you make your way over there.
Cool. Hey, and I got to tell you what, Karen Hairston, man, she is killing it. She's another one of our sponsors up in Michigan, 3S Smart Consulting. Go check her out. She is an Amazon bestseller. Her book is called Stop Growing Broke, Start Growing Profits. 3S Smart Consulting. If you need cash, if your business is struggling, contact her. She's in Michigan.
And Rachel Barnett with Gentle Frog. If you have a company and you're using QuickBooks Online, you need to know how to use it. Go to her YouTube channel at Gentle Frog, or even to gentlefrog.com, and you're going to learn everything you need to know to use QuickBooks Online for your business.
Yeah, and lastly, hey, the best cash flow cowboy in Texas. His name is Larry Weinstein, a CPA out of Houston, Texas. He can be reached at cashflowranch.com. And believe it or not, he is the subject of the podcast today. So if you're like going, well, how do they choose their subjects? How do they choose what they're going to do? Usually it's something that happened to me within the last week, right? I'm going, you know what? I want to dig into that because it's something that's on my brain. It happened this morning. Larry is the instigator of today's podcast topic. So we're going to talk about Larry's request. He had a request today. So it was kind of odd. It struck me as odd. So we're going to talk through it.
Well, now I'm curious. I think we need to dive into this.
All right. So usually, I mean, the old Adam has been, under promise, over deliver, right? Kind of come in like, hey, I'll have it to you Tuesday and then deliver it on Friday or something like that, right? We're like going, oh my God, that was even better. People always remember better, right? They don't always remember worse or beyond. Like if I say it's going to be there Tuesday and I get there Friday, then they're mad and they don't call me back. So every Wednesday, my most popular group coaching session of the week is every Wednesday morning, 9:30 a.m. Central Time. I usually have 20, 30, 40 folks, show up on this thing. People record it. I record it. It's the only one I record. It's that good because I really prepare for that one. Excuse me. So today, all right, so it's only scheduled for 30 minutes. Why? Because most times on a Wednesday morning, I might be somewhere. I do a lot of traveling, and traveling usually takes place Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So Wednesdays, I'm usually packed up in the middle of wherever I'm traveling at.
Mhm.
Like if I'm in Memphis, I'm on stage by, 9, 10 o'clock or whatever. I always want to say it's 30 minutes. Well, typically 90% of the time, they go 45 minutes to an hour because I don't stop until everybody gets it or everybody's happy or where the conversation dies out.
Mhm.
That's a really cool thing, is that your meeting that's scheduled for 30 minutes never ends on time, and not because you aren't doing something. Like some meetings go long and you're like, oh, God, that was a waste of my time. No, this is really productive time. So to me, I promise you 30 minutes, give you 45 or 60. That's your value, right? You're getting a
Mhm.
value. Larry goes, I don't like it. I don't like it. I want you to change the schedule to an hour. I said, well, Larry, what happens if I need to jump off? Because at least once, twice, 3 times a quarter, I have to end at 30 minutes. I don't want to promise you an hour and then tell you, hey, I got to jump off early.
Mhm.
No, it wasn't just Larry. It was 10, 15 other people on the call says, yeah, I think we'd rather this be an hour meeting and not 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
for me, that was the whole topic. Was I thought I was under promising 30 minutes, over delivering 45 to 60 minutes. And now everybody wants me to go the other way, promise 60, even if sometimes I only give them 30.
Hmm. Yeah, and I wonder, like, if that's just they just want to make sure that they're scheduling. I'm guessing, or
Could be that. Now half of the group says we already pushed this to an hour. We don't schedule anything around the other half hour because we know you never end on time.
yeah, yeah,
Right? We never do. If you go look at the whole library of that one, they're always around 45, 55 minutes, somewhere in there. They never really go
yeah.
over an hour. So maybe I should just put in an hour. But to me, I'm like going, that's the first time ever where people were okay with me promising an hour and cutting it short if I
Hmm.
had to.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, because that's not where
I
you thought
can't.
I was
Yeah.
going with it. That's not where you thought I
No,
was
not
going with
really.
it, but that's what made me thought about it. Think about it.
Yeah, I guess the thing that came to mind, and it's in the same vein of the um like under promise over deliver, is I've heard a couple times in the last few months here talking with um, software vendors. So one owns a SaaS product, owns a software company. The other one is a value added reseller that is selling software services. Both in different ways. Both brought up they both like to take the approach of under promise over deliver. The problem is their competition isn't. Competition is massively over promising and trying to knock them out of the conversation early, and then trying to basically put out the fire. The problem is they've actually lost some jobs that way, and the competitor could not deliver what they promised, but it just got far enough down the path that they ended up just kind of going with them. And so that kind of brings up that question of, are you, where do you balance that out, especially when you're talking with potential clients and there's competition involved? Because you could end up losing jobs, and they could end up going down completely the wrong path because you're being ultra conservative in what you're sharing, right? Or how you're promoting yourself.
Yeah, that happened to me all the time in the hotel staffing companies and janitorial business that I had, which is, I'm like, going, let's say, let's not gonna have, they want 10 people, well, maybe I could get 7, and I'd show up with 10. I'd promise
Yeah.
7, right? Because you never know, like, hey man, I could probably get you 7. Well, somebody didn't like that. One of the hotel managers didn't like that I would promise 7, show up with 10, even though I'd always show up with what they wanted. So I
Mhm.
got swapped out a couple of different times because of doing that. Got
Mm.
swapped out. Say, no, we're going to go with a different vendor. That vendor would say we'd have 10, they'd show up with 7. Which would you
Yeah.
rather have?
E- Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But it's I think in the like, I just like to I like to do the way I view it is you just do business honestly, and you want to um, uh, be as truthful as you can, and over delivering, I think, is always the way to go, because in the end, your customer's really happy, right? And I think the other way, you just constantly are going to have customers that are just a little bit disappointed. And I think that's an awful way to do business. But I do really hate the fact that there'll be competitors that cannot deliver let's say, what we can. And they're getting jobs and they're getting deals because they're just overpromising, like, well, lying, quite frankly. They're literally saying we can do this when they can't.
Yeah, and what really happened with me in janitorial company is that people wouldn't do the same thing. Maybe I cost a little more. Maybe, it took me a little longer to get to some of the quarterly stuff, but it always got done.
Mm.
And a lot of times in the janitorial company, it was always based on dollars, what you could do for dollars. And you say, well, and it always came down to give us your best and final offer. And I still wanted to be with that under promise, over deliver. And that's hard to do when you're in a competitive bid situation, right? Because people want more promises, right? They want you to say, you'll do this, that, and the other. And I say, hey, listen, well, we can always go to not vacuuming every day. We can vacuum once a week, for that price, and I can meet it, right? To me, that's me being honest. And maybe if there's a bunch of stuff, we'll vacuum every day just because there's a bunch of stuff. But if I promise once a week, then it's harder for you contractually to hold me accountable when I'm doing it more than I promised.
Yeah.
We lost bids that way, right? Based on the realistic promise versus the other, and they always came back. I didn't have any of them not come back in the next bid cycle.
No, and that's true. We used to, and I've I probably shared this before, but in my last business, we used to do a lot of work for government, the creative agency, but we did a lot of interactive media, a lot of video production, that sort of thing. And so the jobs were complex. They were never a quick little thing. And every time we would get to the end of their fiscal year, which I think was March, end of March, I believe was the fiscal for the province, usually around January, we would have people come in and they would just say, hey, can you do this? And we know competitors would go, yep, because they want to use up the budget before the end of the year. And we would always know it's a 6-month project at best. We can't deliver something good in that time frame. We would just always say no. And it was amazing how many times by the time you got into summer or into the fall, we would get the phone call, hey, remember that thing we talked about in January? Well, we went with someone else and then it didn't work and then a blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, no, I know. And now you want a quote. And it was, we would get jobs that way. It always bothered me because it was always tax dollars getting flushed down the toilet in February, March, and then doing it again in June. But at least we could say we can do what you need. And they kind of hopefully learned their lesson a bit. And it's going to take 6 months and it's going to take this much budget. And it was always, I could see how it would be tempting because they're putting money right in front of your face, but I think you would build a bad reputation really quite quickly doing that.
Yeah, I had a couple of customers after they'd already switched their janitorial, where they would have the person come in and either strip and wax floors, or I don't know if you've ever dealt with marble, but marble takes like a diamond pad, right? It's like a diamond crusted pad that what you're doing is shining it by pretty much shaving off the top faded part of the rock is what's happening. And well, I had a guy that was a master at both stripping and waxing floors and marble. He was just good. He was the best around. I mean, best I'd ever seen. There's no way I could have done it. So even when we didn't have it, because I would include that as part of the bid. Hey, we'll do this, once a quarter or once a year or whatever that was. The other company would also include it and really screw it up. And I actually was able to charge twice as much to come in and fix up the screw ups. And usually I'm like, hey, it's a lot cheaper if we're already in here because we know how it's maintained every day and we're already here. That's why it's included in the bid. Yeah. So there are times when somebody else's over promise actually puts an overabundance of money in your pocket.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think sometimes with that over-promise stuff, um, it's quality versus quantity at times. And I think it's also when we're selling, making sure we really focus on the quality, on the important things, on the things that the truth, the solution that they prioritize, the things that they really need, and try and avoid it's just a longer checklist of stuff that you may or may not need. The other competitor may just check everything off all the way down the list. So, "Oh, we do it all." Then you find out they don't. Um, we won't do that, but we'll try and be really clear about where we offer some really solid advantages for them, and hope that wins the day. You're not going to win the day with everybody, but that's how it is, right?
Yeah, so I'm always impressed now, especially after I've been in the business of restaurants. I'm always impressed at how fast some people are getting food out because I know what it takes to be able to do that, right? So I mean, and probably a lot of places I've been going lately, it comes out fast because it's already prepared in bulk and it's kind of can be used in a multiple, like
Mhm.
Mexican restaurants, those type of things. You can use beans and some of the meats in multiple different products. But it still impresses me that it comes out so fast because I always in my mind thought 14 minutes. That was the ticket times that we always tracked was we
Mhm.
want from the time the order's put in to the time it's on your plate or on your table, 14 minutes. We thought that any uh, longer than that, that's when people get antsy. And
Yeah.
and that's where the thing like the chips and salsa and the drinks and all that actually give you a little bit more leadway, right? Because
Yeah.
it kind of slows down
Buys
the
you time.
ordering just a little bit. It buys you time, right? That's
Yeah.
basically what it's doing. But it also makes it feel like if you have the margaritas coming in, you'll wait a few minutes for margaritas and then have your chips and salsa at the same time. Then, oh, by the way, we'll order and boom, man, within minutes, they're bringing out your order like these Mexican restaurants here in Texas are. I'm going,
Yeah.
that's masterful because we've been here still around 15, 20 minutes in total, but it felt
Yeah.
like 3 because of the order to food.
Yeah.
Oh man, we just gave you the order and here's the food. And
Yeah.
it could have been longer. It could have been longer and I wouldn't have worried.
There's also a bit of a pacing though, because the other side is if it's more of a dining experience and it's more of an evening and you're out with friends and appies come and you're just starting into the appies and all of a sudden the main course is coming. Not impressive. It's too early. Right. So it's,
Yeah.
and it's, that's, I think, probably a really difficult skill for, I imagine, the wait staff and the kitchen to be able to go, where do we time it? So it's almost like, when does the 14 minutes start, or when does how do you time that? Because some restaurants just seem to have it perfect. It's like stuff just shows up. It's like they're reading your mind. And then other times you can tell when it's too soon or too late, right?
Yeah, you would think software. I mean, both you and I being in software, you would think software now could solve that, saying, hey, this is either with the meal or not with the meal, which means you don't start cooking the meal or preparing the meal until the app's on the warmer tray, right? On the service
Mhm.
tray. I would
It
think.
could be. Maybe they do have, I have no idea what the software would show. I have
No,
to ask some friend of mine that owns a business, owns restaurants. I should ask him, because maybe there is a way that, how do they do that? Is it people power, or do they actually have some helping technology helpers as well?
well, when I ran it, we didn't have technology helpers. It was you, like going, hey, I won't put this in, and that's why it was kind of clunky. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes I got it too early, sometimes I got it too late, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I think now with software, I think that if the meal is put up, because I'm sure that the cooks would have to say, hey, this meal's ready, so there's some signal that that's my plate right there. Especially if there's 10, you know, we'll say ranchos huevos, 10 burritos. Which one's mine? Well, it's there's got to be a way to say yours is up there, which means that the cook has done something they've done something to clear the ticket, right? Because they have to get it off of their queue the same way. Maybe it's push a button. Oh, got that one, push a button. And I would think that button, if they came in on the same order, if I was preparing your, we'll say, mozzarella sticks, and I pressed the button that they were ready, that's when it would then load the meal for that same table. I think that's the way I would try to build the software.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the app went out, and then I don't start their meal until after I know the app's already out.
And the importance of those details comes all the way back to the under promise, over deliver versus the opposite, because restaurants, I think it probably depends a little bit on the, if you're a big restaurant in lots of seats and you're in a tourist area and you don't get a lot of repeat customers, it's probably just, who cares, moving through as fast as you can. But if you're a restaurant that most of them, I think, that want to attract regulars and want to have people coming in again, you kind of get one shot the first time they're there to try and bring them back. And those little details matter. And if there's some technology that can actually help make sure that you're over delivering all of the time, that's what's going to help bring people back. And that comes from the service, the timing, the food, the everything from top to bottom, right?
Yeah. So let me tell you a horror story about over promising. 2 weeks ago, remember I went to Waco to the Baylor game, Baylor football game. So we drove up there, and Courtney's like going, I want to go dancing. I'm like going, yeah, what the hell? Normally I'm like going, no, I don't go to clubs and all that, but you can't say no every time. You gotta, with your partner, you gotta do what they want to also. So I said, all right. I said, let's go to the nicest dance club up there in Waco. And I don't know what it is, but it's like, I don't know. It's in between Dallas and Austin. There's got to be something there. So I go online because I haven't been there to school for 20 some years. So I have no idea what nightlife's like. I find this place, the best website. It even advertises the number one hottest nightclub in Waco, Texas. I'm like, going, hell yeah, we're going there. Then it says, hey, reserve a table. Now, I've been to clubs in Vegas, I've been to clubs in Houston, been to clubs in New York. If you want to sit down, you need to reserve a table. That's me. Okay. I'm like, I'm going to the hottest club. It's a football weekend. We're going. So it costs $80 to reserve a table. At $80. But it's right there. It's underneath the DJ booth. It's right next to the dance floor. It's the closest one. It's the closest to the bar. I'm thinking I'm going to get the best service. I'm going to get, I'm going to have my own booth. It's white leather. It's perfect looking. I'm like, we dress up. It's going to be the best club that we've ever been to. I'm so ashamed of this. So you see what I'm set up for, right? I'm set up for one of the best nights in Waco I've ever had.
Yeah.
We drive downtown Waco. I'm like, oh man, there's not a lot of people out tonight, man. I hope they come out because it's still early. It's like 9:30. Still kind of early. I'm like, oh, maybe it's kind of it jumps off late. So we don't get out of the car. We kind of just drive around a little bit. We hear these, see this place with an outside band. It's packed and people with lights and all this. It's just an outside courtyard and all that. I'm like, oh man, okay, this is going to pop off, right? This is just a nightclub. It's a nightclub. It's the one that stays open late. All right, I'm going to stay up this weekend. So we pull up around 10ish. I'm like, oh, that should be, I'm 55. Maybe 10 seems okay. There's a couple of people starting to mill around the outside. So, okay, we'll just go in, see what's happening inside. So I open the door where I think it's at because I can't really tell where the front door is at. Nah, I went in the employee interest. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of odd, right? Why would I go in the employee interest? Because I can't tell where the front door is on this thing, right? That's one thing. So we go in there and there's 3 people in there. There's the bartender, the front door security person, and the waitress, and nobody else. And they go, hey, how'd you get in? So I guess I'm there too early, right? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. They go, hey, you want a drink or something like that? I said, no. So we'll just pop off at this other places well, I'll come back later. Guess what we didn't do? We didn't go back later. We didn't go back later. So $80. I didn't even ask for a refund. That's how bad it was, and how embarrassed I was that I picked it. I'm like, we're just going to chalk that up as life lessons that you don't go to nightclubs in Waco, Texas,
and drop $80 if you've never been there before and don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I was okay with just pretending like it never happened. So, so here I am. Here I am talking about it on the interwebs and putting it on YouTube.
There was this is probably going back about 20 years ago, before when my wife and I were looking for the house we're living in now. And I remember we went to this area in town, and we drive up, and it's a really nice area. And then we get up, and it's the area that we were going into is gated. And so instantly I'm like, I'm not paying for a gate. Like, so I'm like, I'm already a little annoyed by it, because I'm like, this is a nice area. And then we go in, and the houses in the gated community weren't as nice as the ones outside of the gated community. And then I started to wonder, were they trying to keep us in or keep them out? Like, it was like all the nice houses were all around, and this is like a little pen with nice enough houses, but it was like, and then you look at the realtor thing, and it's all the fees to have a gate, and you're like, I don't understand. This is just bizarre. And you see, that was massively, I don't even know if it was over promising. It sort of indicated a promise, and then massively under delivering when it's like, it's going to cost way more. And you're looking past the gate at the really big places across the street. Yeah, they're not gated. So I was just, I remember that. It always made me laugh when I just think of that.
So I live in a gated community, right? Yeah. Internet. I'm one of those guys. It's just the way the neighborhoods are here. I didn't ask for a gated community. That's just what they are. But here's the thing. I'm like going, you can't keep anybody out of these things. You just can't.
No.
Well, I mean, really? I mean, if somebody comes up behind me and the gate's open as I go through, I'm not going to stop there and fight somebody to keep them coming through. Just like,
yeah. Oh, and it's not like I have anything against that. There's a lot of gated communities down in Scottsdale where we have our vacation home, and we go for walks every night, and we go up, and of course you can walk in. But what is quite hilarious is there's gates, but we walk around, and you get to some places where there's not gates, and you're like, if someone came in the not gated and just drove far enough, they could actually get there. It's quite funny, and you can just walk it or bike it or whatever. But those are nice places, right? This was different when it's like the gated community isn't as nice as the non-gated community. You say at least it should be as nice, like at least like at the same level.
Who are you trying to keep out?
That's exactly it. Because I'm like, this is not computing. Like, it's just, and it's obvious. It was really obvious too. It's like, those places on there are huge. It still makes me laugh when I think about it.
You know, what's funny is that there was a place up in Tacoma. They had hyperbaric chambers was the name of their business. You know what those are? Hyperbaric
I've heard
chambers.
The term, but I actually don't know what it is. I can't remember what it is. Yeah,
it's you sit in this tube and you get oxygen.
All right, I have it right here.
It went out of business. Yeah. You're like going, yeah, it only takes people one time to go, oh, wait a second. I already have that for free. It's the craziest thing. I just found that out. I'm thinking, oh, it's got to be something really fancy. No, you're just like in more pure oxygen, I guess. But it's hard to get regular people, enough people. Yeah. I could see a person maybe having it in your house. Like, okay, I want a more pure oxygen thing in my house. I got to be super rich to do that. Don't get me wrong with it. Like,
yeah,
I'm never going to have one. But I could see some people like going, I don't know what to do with this money. Let's have an oxygen tube.
Yeah, your market is so small, and it's got to be a lot of hype and a lot of bullshit to sell that. I actually have tried one of the auction things. Remember those oxygen bars a few years ago? Those were like a big deal.
I think Vegas still has them.
Oh, do they? Because I was at a conference. Actually, it might have been in Vegas. It was either San Jose or Vegas. I think it might have been in Vegas. And in the conference, they had an oxygen bar that was just for free for conference goers. And I'm just like, this looks stupid. I got to try it. Like I've got to try it. Like, why are people lining up and sticking the tube around, and everyone gets their own fresh tube, and then it gets chucked away. And then you put this on, and I literally, you stand there feeling like an idiot with a tube in your nose. Nothing. Like, I'm not even sure that anything was coming up the pipe that wasn't just the air that was in the conference center. I looked and went, this cannot last. This cannot make money. Like, how can you get, I guess I guarantee you there's probably a placebo effect, but I'd rather have a placebo effect from I don't know, like a non-alcoholic beer or something than I would.
All right. So, hey, I'm not going to lie. I use the CPAP. And not because I have sleep apnea or anything like that. I use a CPAP. I snore a little bit, and it clears up snoring. I snore because I have a soft palate, and it vibrates when I breathe at night when I'm laying on my back. Mm. And this CPAP thing blows air up your nose all night long. I can't sleep without it now. Dude, I'm like going, I mean, as well, I am more well-rested. I feel better. You can set the temperature. It's got a humidifier on it, so it's like moist air all the time. I haven't had colds. I haven't had, sinus problems. I had none of that stuff. Everything, it just clears out all night long. If my nose is stuffy when I go to bed, within minutes, it's cleared up.
Okay, but that's actually like an actual like medical device with all those things you listed. But all those things you listed, when you put the tube from the oxygen bar there, I honestly don't know if there's anything coming outside of a slight pressure from like a pump.
Well, I don't have a big alien mask. I just got a little tube that goes across my nose like this. It doesn't go in my nose. It just lays on my lip. It's called a nose pillow. It just sits like this. All
right. Maybe I stand corrected. Maybe the oxygen bar has a purpose. It sounds more like what you have is a thing. It sounds like more what they had was a scam, but I shouldn't say that because maybe there was something more to it. I don't remember.
No, I actually had a sleep study done, right? Where they put like tubes and things and sensors and all this all over you, and you try to sleep. It's already hard to sleep with that stuff on you. Like, can I turn left? Can I turn right? But I didn't realize it, right? Like I did it for the benefit of others in the house. My kids used to complain like, Dad, we can hear you snoring in our bedroom next to yours. Right? I'm like, yeah, that's bad. That's really bad. And I remember my grandma and all that. I'm like, that's just what old people do. I didn't realize that just by blowing air into my nose while I slept, A, it made me sleep better, but B, I didn't snore. Right? And I travel with it, dude. It goes in my suitcase with me. It's that important to me now that I even travel with it.
If it helps you sleep, man, it's gold. I don't sleep well at all. I could never do a sleep study because there's no way I would ever fall asleep with people watching me. Like, I just so zero chance. Like,
I don't think they don't watch it. Yeah, they don't watch it. It's like a machine thing.
Oh, all right.
They just
probably have trouble sleeping with anything on me.
And they're looking for if you stop breathing, right? And how many times per hour you stop breathing. I don't have that problem. It's less than 1/10 of a time per hour or whatever, my thing. They say you don't have sleep apnea. What I do have is obstructive snoring disorder, whatever word. It's like the back of my mouth is just too soft, I guess. And it collapses on my throat. So
you're a softy.
I'm a softy. Yeah, I'm softy. Yeah. Yeah, softy. Oh yeah, nice. Dude. You can ask anybody that's ever like shared a room with me or shared a house with me, and they're going, "Yeah, that guy's trouble. that guy's no sleep for you." That's what happens. Hey, you know what though? You know what though? When I was at Finnegraph early on, we used to share rooms, right? Like James and I, or Kyle and I. We'd go on trips, conferences, and things like that, and we'd share a room. Yeah, it only happened once or twice. Then you get your own room.
Get your own room. Yeah, exactly. That's
it's worth the $200 to get you a room, Mike.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I could not share a room in it because I just would never sleep. And I have to usually, like, especially in a hotel room, I'd have to flip on a TV or something because I have to have a little bit of distraction because I am just the world's lightest sleeper. I am a difficult sleeper. That just makes me like, oh, I would not sleep at all, and I'd be cranky for the entire conference.
Hey, when you talk about like under promising, over delivering, how does Drive Run do that?
I'll tell you how we do it. There are a ton of businesses out there, a lot of finance teams that are buried in spreadsheets trying to figure out what's happening in their cash flow. They're trying to model scenarios. I talked with one CFO just a few days ago, and the frustration in him was just floating right to the top because it was taking him days every week to take all of this data from their ERP and 2 or 3 other systems and get it together in a bunch of tabs and in the spreadsheet. And every time management would ask for an update, it was just, oh man, now I'm into days of work. And what we do is we'll take those days of work down to a day, a half a day, an hour. We can take you down in time massively. But the big thing is when you walk into that management meeting and you pop something up on the screen, you can discuss it with them and you can come to some clear understanding. Everyone's on the same page because they can understand exactly what they're looking at. So we're going to bring that to you. So if you're a finance pro, you're buried in spreadsheets, come visit us at Dry Run. We'll save you a ton of time. We're going to help you have these completely clear forecasts for your management team. And we're going to bring a level of accuracy to the entire thing that you just simply don't have right now. So come visit us at dryrun.com.
And I'll give you a testimonial right now. We're in the new relationship, meaning you and I, right, at Dry Run, and what I'm trying to do with one of my clients. And you've really taken your time and not gave me a huge amount of expectations of what you can do. You've really taken your time and walked me through with some complex data. So if you're out there with a lot of data, you're buried in spreadsheets, you're actually trying to make sense of what you got, put it in Blaine and Tarek's hands, right? And those are the 2 co-founders of this company, and let them help you make sense of it, because their product is really good about taking a lot of complex data and making it simple to understand. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. And Tarek gets a shout out. Good for him.
There you go. Yeah, see?
That's awesome, actually.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here like going, damn, I hope I don't mispronounce it.
No, he should
That's
get
one of the
shout
reasons
outs. Every time I do a little thing,
off.
Tarek should get a shout out. He works his ass off. He's also like brilliant. He's so smart and so competent. And well, everyone on my team is, but he's just, I've worked with him since 2015. We launched in 16. We've been working together for a long time. He is brilliant. I should do more shout outs for Tarek because he's such a smart guy, such a valuable partner.
Well, and I've seen more of him now, right? I've only met him like once or twice in the past. And with this project, I've seen more of him. So I appreciate more of what he can do and what he does.
Yeah. I don't take him for granted, but it's easy to just forget. And I'm glad you brought him up because, he's and that's what you get. If you come and talk with us at Dry Run, we'll all be on that call, and we're going to make sure that we're going to get your business moving forward. So,
you know what I like about Tarek? He just sticks to his knit, man. He just out back there doing the thing. Come on, that was good. That was good, man. Not only did I have a cool segue, I got in one of the secret words, right? And I know you're going to try to force the other one, so don't force it yet. Don't force
the other one. I'm
killing this episode. That's a 5. That's a 5.
That's a 5. It was not bad. It wasn't one of your better ones. I would say that's a mediocre. For those of you that are wondering, it's just our secret words we sneak in. They're not very secret because we always explain it after, which is probably kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. But anyway, that's
yeah. But if you tell them that's the words, then every episode they'll be listening for who can get it in.
Then who can sneak it in instead of But anyway, it was an attempt. It was there.
I think he'll appreciate it. He'll appreciate it.
Yeah. So I think we've both come out we've talked about competitors sometimes going on the overpromise. And I think just talking through this over and over again, I still kind of, this would have been a great place to stay. I'm still sticking to my knitting because it's still in my mind, the absolute best way to sit and on that under promise, over deliver, look for the play the long game, build relationship with your clients and build something really special. Um, I think is absolutely essential. And I think it's hard lessons learned when you try and take those shortcuts.
Well, all right. So, I mean, let's talk about taking the shortcuts. Why do you think people take shortcuts? Why do you think they do the opposite of what we probably should do?
Well, you and I both know like how let's just pop into cash flow or revenue, right? Like when you're a business owner or you're maybe even a salesperson that has a quota to meet or whatever, when things start to get a little tight, everything starts to get tight and you start looking for shortcuts, right? Um, and like I felt that so many times as we've been building dry run and you hear the experts come in with shortcuts and you're like, well, we have to grow, we have to build, we've got a limited runway. All these things that, as you're building a business that come into play and you're looking for these shortcuts and invariably you get taught over and over and over again. It just doesn't work. You've got to stick with that plan. You got to know your client, know your product, build those relationships. There is no shortcut. Do it right, and build that engine that works. And like I said, under promise, over deliver, build a reputation. When we've tried to do the opposite, is pretty much blown up in our face. When we just feel like we've done it right, it's just has worked, and it feels like now it's like we've stuck with it and it's working. And that's, yeah, it feels like it was, you got to have a lot of faith when you're playing the long game, right? And a lot of belief.
Yeah, so interesting. You mentioned like salespeople and things like that and the promises that they make. It always almost comes down to a hint of desperation. And I don't know what it is. It doesn't, the person may not verbally feel like they're desperate, but you on the other end receiving the message, there's a hint that you pick up on. You're like, there's something not right here. I always kind of feel like, this guy is pushing way too hard. Like, and desperation actually hurts your sales, right? If people can pick up on it on the other end, like if you don't need to sell because you have your product and your service is so great, you're like, hey, listen, I mean, this is what we do. A lot of people will benefit from it. I'd love to be able to help you. Would you like to work together?
Yeah.
You come across that way, all of a sudden people are like going, well, yeah, I want to be part of that.
Yeah.
If there's that desperate saying, if you don't take advantage of this right now, or I'll make sure it happens on Monday, or I'll throw in this, that, and the other. And then you don't even know if that's going to really happen. It's just a promise made during the sales process.
Yeah.
It sounds desperate to me. It sounds desperate. And I always say no. I had a season ticket holder, season ticket salesman, whoever sells tickets for professional sports teams, do that to me on Monday. I'm not buying them, but I took the thing just in case they had a deal. It sounded really desperate because of the basketball season. The Spurs are here in town, just getting ready to start. And I think he has some type of, we better fill these seats before the season starts. And I'm like, oh, that's the best time to get a deal. Dude, it sounded really desperate, like almost begging me to do it. And I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Couldn't pull the trigger.
What year did the Spurs win?
I don't know. I'm not a Spurs fan.
Oh, okay.
I'm not an NBA basketball fan. I watch college basketball. The reason why I would get them because, and I wouldn't get the full season because that becomes a job. I don't know if you've ever had season tickets to anything, maybe Edmonton, the Oilers or whatever. It's like a full-time job just going to the games or getting people to go to the games.
Yeah, we have never had season tickets for the Oilers, and it mostly we tend to not be here in the winter. But even when we were here in the winter, I'm not leaving the house. Like TV right there. We used to have friends come in and be like, "Hey boys, anyone need some tickets for tonight?" And we'd all sit there with our beer already, like waiting for the game to start. Like, no, we're not leaving the house. It's freezing out there. Are you kidding me? There's no chance. We did have season tickets. A few years with the Edmonton. Well, at the time they're called the Edmonton Eskimos. Now they're called the Edmonton Elks football team, Canadian Football League. but there's so much fewer games, and we actually were given tickets for different things, and so but it's still like you just kind of always have to have it on your calendar. You don't have to be there. Can you imagine at a baseball? By the way,
Dude,
congrats, Jays, getting to the World Series. That was a huge game yesterday. Holy cow. Good for Springer.
I don't know. All right. So, I mean, my daughter and her man live in Seattle. So I'm a little disappointed. That was a heck of a way to lose going to the World Series. A home run at the they were down, 3-1 and come back and won with a home run.
Yeah. You when I refer to it, I say that's a heck of a way to win, but that's just me, just a little bit of flip side. But I think either team is in really tough with LA. Like they're both would have been in incredibly tough with LA. So, good for the Jays to make it there. But yeah,
they can still win.
We'll see.
They can still win it all. Right.
They still got to play the games. They still have to play the games.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But I think it's going to be a tough series. But anyway, we got off track a little bit out of sports. But
yeah, but that's one of those historic, like going, oh my God moments. That was like when the Cardinals, well, anyway, I won't go. I'm a Cardinals fan, right, in baseball. But the reason why I want to talk about it is the season tickets.
Mm-hmm.
I had season tickets to the Cardinals, the Chiefs, and the Blues all at the same time, right? Hockey, baseball, and football. Because I was in hotels and it was easy to just pass them out. If you got 10 hotel clients in St. Louis, somebody's going to go to a game. Somebody will go to a game. And I didn't have at the time, now it might have been easier, a way to get rid of them if nobody took them. And I couldn't go. There was no SeatGeek back then. There was no StubHub or, place. The secondary market didn't exist. I'm like going, damn, I could have actually financed the next season with that. But it's a job. You got to realize it's not an easy thing to do.
No.
To resell your season tickets, but there is a way to get rid of them. But it's a full-time job if that's your way. And one of the clients I'm working with right now is buying college season tickets for football, basketball, and all this type of stuff. I'm like, going, damn, man, who's going to manage these tickets? That's a lot of games.
Yeah.
And you don't want it to be an employee benefit, and that's what it becomes a lot of times.
Yeah. And I think that the going to pro sport games live 99% of the time is over promising, under delivering, because especially like middle of the season, some whatever game for the price that and the price of the food and the pain in the ass to get all the way down there and park and find your way in, all that stuff. I just think they massively under deliver. And live music's another one. I cannot, I know there's people, I cannot imagine spending thousands of dollars to go to a giant arena to watch a person on stage that's this big with really bad sound, and that's worthwhile. And when I can go to a concert for $50 in a small venue and be right by the stage and have just this amazing experience, like those guys are under promising, over delivering when it's a small venue, because it's so intimate and you're right there, right? Big ones, I'm like, there's no way it makes it worth it.
When you said that, I went instantly to the Fire Festival, right? You ever watch that Netflix documentary?
Yeah.
Where they promise this luxury experience, with amazing artists and whatever, and then they end up eating hot dogs and sleeping on plastic,
mucking 3 tents. Yeah. Yeah, that's the ultimate. Yeah.
So that's the exact opposite of over promising, right? Or no, that's the exact thing, is over promising, under deliver.
Yeah, exactly.
And we call that normally a scam.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly it. And even the ones that don't, where it actually all works out, like, going to some of these these really popular concerts, and all the hotels are, it's like, oh yeah, a crappy hotel is $200 a night is now $2,000 a night. And then you go to a giant arena and the sound sucks and you're 8 million miles away, and you may even be listening to a recording. and you spend thousands of dollars on that, and then you got $20 beer and a $700 t-shirt or whatever it is. Like, there's nothing about that makes sense. I can't even imagine it. And then I know I'm getting old, but for me to go, I can drive down, I can park, go and grab a beer. I can go to a show and I can be right by the stage. I can talk sometimes with the artists after. I can buy a vinyl album from them, walk out, walk 50 feet, get in the car, no traffic, drive home. I'm like, oh my God, that is value. And it's like the whole night, $200 or something like that for that. Like, that to me is value, right? And I guess it's everyone's value is, they judge it differently, but I just, I love experiences, but how I judge the value of an experience is quite different, I think.
Yeah. All right. So this whole episode started off with Larry asking me to do the opposite of what my instinct is, which is to underpromise, overdeliver. And he wants me to overpromise, underdeliver on occasion.
Yeah.
Where do you land? Where would you still go? What's your heart tell you? What's your gut tell you to do? What's the advice you give to others?
I would say 100% of the time, underpromise, overdeliver. With the caveat of, in your situation, I think people just want to know what their schedule is going to look like. So even if you booked 45 minutes, then they know, okay, I'll probably book an hour. I'll have some room, like, because my next meeting on Zoom is coming up in 1 minute, right? That might be, but outside of that, I would say always underpromise, overdeliver, play the long game, build relationships with your customers. That's anytime we've tried shortcuts, it's made our road much longer, much more expensive, much more painful. And that goes for our team, our clients, or everybody. So I'm after that many flub ups, I've strongly suggest play the long game and over deliver.
All right. Well, you spend an exact hour, almost an exact hour, with us messing up the intro, asking you to be a beer sponsor, telling you to go to Cashflow, or not Cashflow Mike. You can go there too, but telling you to go to mikeandblaine.com. Check out our merch. Check out our episode. Tell at least 3 friends. I'm going to go there. Tell 3. Help us out, right? Help us out. Tell 3 friends. Spread the word. And how would you got some things about YouTube you'd say?
Like, subscribe, follow. Even tell 1 friend. I'm not setting the bar that high. I'm going to let you underpromise and overdeliver when I say just tell 1 friend, and then you can say I told 2. Like, all right, you doubled up. Good for you.
There you go. There you go. Hey, it's episode 2. I hate this chair. Have you heard that the whole time?
God, whole time. Popcorn the whole time. It sounds like
this is a brand new chair and it sucks. So let me ask you this. Should I get rid of the chair or try to fix it?
You can fix that. Well, maybe you can fix that. I don't know. A little bit of WD-40 can go a long way, but there's something with that chair.
There's something weird. God, it sucks. So, hey, thanks for listening to my sucky chair and coming to mikeandblaine.com.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.